Now, I would like to call to the stage a patient ambassador and his dad. This is Richard Schweizer and Norbert Schweizer. So would you please welcome Richard and Norbert to the stage? Like two peas in a pod, aren't you?
That's right.
Now, you hug up to me here.
Okay.
Do you want to share the mic, Dad? Okay, we'll have a chat. Now, I understand you're wearing your father's suit, looking very handsome in that.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
Were you happy that it fitted or sad that it fitted?
Well, I'm not quite sure how to answer that. No, we have a similar build, as it were.
Yeah. Now, you have schizophrenia?
That's right. I've had schizophrenia for 8 years.
8 years. Do you mind me asking your age?
I'm 30.
You're 30. So at 22, you started to get some symptoms.
That's right.
Do you mind sharing with us what that was like?
Absolutely. Before I go on, I would just like to say that I am taking psychiatric medication, and I do not, at the moment, experience a lot of the psychotic problems. But if I were to go back in my life and look at that time, I had a sense of isolation, it felt like a blanket was draped over me. And if I was talking to people, I would almost have an out-of-body experience. I wasn't really there.
What were you doing at the time? Were you studying or working?
I was finishing a law degree at the time.
A law degree?
Yes.
And you'd had no other signs?
No, I hadn't had any signs. But there was also a sense of fear. And that became clear when we saw our doctor, and she said, okay, I talked to her about the problems I was having, and she said, take this drug, risperidone, but don't look up what it's for. Of course, we got home, and Mum looked up what it's for, and it said risperidone for the treatment of schizophrenia.
Why didn't she want you to look it up?
Because she wanted to be able to give the information to me herself rather than me discovering it. And that ignited in me a great sense of fear, and I'm sure many other people who have experienced schizophrenia have also experienced that fear. And I guess part of the strength of the fear for me was that I had always lived a life of the intellect, and I knew that my mind was my greatest asset, and my greatest fear was to lose that asset.
Richard, when you were feeling these symptoms, at what stage did you approach your mum and dad or your doctor? When did you know, I have a problem?
I had been seeing counsellors at Sydney University for a few weeks, and I had been awarded an internship at the Attorney General's Office of New South Wales, and there are a number of experiences I had, but one that I will relate to the audience was looking up at the reflection of another building and seeing a gun there. Now, the rational part of me said, there's no gun there, but I saw that there. So I went back to the counsellors, and the counsellor said, do two things. When you walk out, stay grounded and tell your mum. And telling my mum was when we first organised to see the doctor, and then that led to my period in a clinic.
And was there respect shown for your symptoms? Did people try and dismiss them and say you're tired or you're overworked, or what was the response?
Well, I was able to hide what was going on inside me quite well. So a lot of people didn't know. I would spend, sometimes after work, I would go to the cathedral on College Street. I'm not sure what.
St Mary's?
Yeah, St Mary's, that's right. And I would sit in there in the silence and in the calm, and I would cry. Because that was the one place where the world was not impinging upon my fragile consciousness.
Were you hearing voices? I understand that's one of the symptoms.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'll address the audience about this.
Yes, do.
I would like you guys to try and imagine the voice of a loved one, of your mother or your father, your aunt, your uncle, a son or a daughter. And just imagine it in your head saying, hello, how are you going? Now imagine that same voice, but behind it the person knows all your weaknesses and all your fears, and the voice speaks those fears. And now imagine that it doesn't stop. That's what it's like having someone in your head.
criticising you, undermining you,
Yes.
sabotaging whatever you're trying to do.
Yes.
And you can't silence it.
You can't silence it. You can put on your headphones and listen to music, that's not too bad. But yes, auditory hallucination is a very unpleasant process.
And I would imagine sleep would be almost impossible with this going on.
Well, as regards sleep, the medication I take actually makes me sleep quite a lot. So I didn't have too much trouble with my sleep, though.
So you're on medication now, and
Yeah.
you're an ambassador for the Research Institute.
That's right.
You must be very excited hearing about Cindy's excitement with the progress.
This is going to be the century of the mind. I really believe that. And, if 1 in 100 people get schizophrenia, that's however many, that's 500 million people around the world. The day someone can come up with a cure, that person's going to make a lot of money. And so if they're going to make a lot of money, there's going to be a lot of people working on it.
Yeah, big motivation sometimes,
Big motivation,
isn't it?
that's right.
And you've been really fortunate too to have the support of your dad. Would you mind if I bring Dad in on here?
Absolutely.
Norbert, thank you. Would you mind just sharing with us, it must have been a terrifying journey. Anne mentioned with her son the journey of trying to determine what was wrong with him, and then Cindy with her brother. What was it like for you as the life journey that you'd imagine for Richard started to change?
As a parent, you always want your children to succeed. As a parent, your greatest wish is to bathe in reflected glory. And to see your son not be able to achieve what you wanted for him, and not be able to achieve his potential is fairly terrible, it really is, on the one hand. On the other hand, particularly with Richard, where are you? There you are, mate. On the other hand, with Richard particularly, he's running a radio show on Monday afternoons. You've got to listen to Eastside Radio. James Valentine, are you back there listening? It's a jazz program. He plays in a rock band, teaches at university, and is doing a PhD. So I couldn't be more proud of him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're very proud of both of you coming up here tonight and very grateful for your time. What are your hopes for the future in terms of research?
Cure, absolutely. There will be a cure. I know that in the bottom of my heart.
Good on you. Thank you very much, both of you. Richard and Norbert Schweizer. Thanks, guys.